You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Tim Fulton.
And I'm Andy Smith.
And this is What Do You Got?
What do you got?
What do you have?
What do you got?
On What Do You Got, we each come up with a topic to bring to the other person. The other person doesn't know what the topic's going to be, and we kind of just spring it on them, and then we chit-chat about it for a little while.
Up.
This is Andy's turn. And for Andy's topic, we are going to be discussing, do you hate losing more than you like winning? Ooh, a little bit of a philosophical question. Me speak good English. A little bit of philosophy question for all you peeps out there. So, is it better or is it worse to lose than it's better to win, so to speak?
Well, do you personally like winning more than you hate losing, or vice versa?
Oh, that is super hard to quantify. But I would have to say people, myself included, have to like winning more than they hate losing. Otherwise, what is the point in trying? If the fear of losing is so great that it doesn't even come close to the feeling of winning, people wouldn't do it, or the vast majority wouldn't do it.
See, I think that...
But I should preface this with, you're weird.
No. Okay, let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
Do you remember times in sports off the top of your head where you got your ass kicked or the team lost horrifically before you can remember times where you won something big?
Before?
Like, if someone said, what sticks out in your head more? Like a time where you got your butt kicked in a sport or lost in wrestling, or a time when you did something good?
That's a fair point, because I do remember losses, like specific losses.
Particular to athletes and people who play things that are sports oriented. There's that saying from that old that movie Rounders, when he was talking about professional poker players, where he said, not many guys can tell you about all the big pots that they've won, but almost perfectly they can relive all the times that they went broke.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and most athletes that I hear, I think for a lot of them, what drives them is never wanting to feel that loss. Yeah, that's what I think. That it's kind of a weird phrase question, right?
Yeah,
it is kind of strange to phrase it, but I think if we phrase it differently, right? Like, so if you look at people who were successful,
okay,
who are like extreme winners,
okay,
a lot of them come from rags to riches as far as athletically.
Okay.
Right? Wouldn't you say?
That sounds
a decent amount. A decent amount of either the, people who were like super famous and became super, like, just extreme winners. Either they went through a lot of hard times in their life, or like there's not a lot of people who do it that are set for life and they're like, oh, let me just do this thing that's extremely hard, because it doesn't make sense. There's no need to do it. And what a lot of them talk about is they remember what it's like to have nothing. They remember what it's like to not have any options.
So they know what it's like.
And they don't want to go back there.
They don't want to go back there. Yeah. So that brings up a second question. That feeling of loss, does it change depending on the person? For example, you get a guy like me. I start a UFC career for some ungodly reason.
Okay.
I get a loss. Compare that to Khabib's next match. A guy who is undefeated, not just undefeated, grossly undefeated.
Yeah.
His career has been absolutely insane. Say he loses his next match. I don't think we can quantify those as nearly the same thing. My feeling of loss, yeah, it's going to suck, but for him, it's going to be like, this broke my record.
Well, it's there's a lot of factors in there. Number one, you're just starting your career. You don't have all these pressures that he has on him.
Yeah. These were two extreme examples.
Examples.
Yeah.
Also, too, some people handle loss very, very differently. Nobody likes losing.
No.
But there's some guys and some athletes, and when they lose, they try to look at it from it sucks, but they try to learn from it, or they try to take it as, hey, this could be the best thing to happen to me. Maybe this is going to show me where I went astray. And then there's other guys that just can never recover from a loss.
Yeah.
Whether it be from the physical damage they took or the mental aspect of it. But there's some guys that can't. And a lot of times it's almost better, especially for fighters, if they get their loss out of the way early. Because then they don't have this undefeated thing hanging over their shoulders.
I can see that.
Because it's such a rare thing, so many people say, well, you're going to have to lose eventually. You're going to lose eventually. You're going to lose eventually. So it's a lot more pressure. That's why if you don't have that pressure, you can just go out and perform. It's not performing to keep your little unbeaten thing. You're just performing.
Yeah.
But winning versus, I haven't won a whole lot of things.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I don't win things, so I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah, but you know what it's like to feel good.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think we've been talking mostly with the sports theme.
See, I don't know. I see where you're coming from, and I get the point. And maybe there's probably different levels to it too, right? So again, going back to my wrestling days, it's been a long time since I could say I am an athlete. But once upon a time, I was. There would be like, when I wrestled when I was in my youth, like young, I was like 125. And when you're at a 125 weight class, when you're in 7th grade, that's a big weight class. Yeah. So I was wrestling mostly, no offense to these guys, but like roly-polies. Yeah. Like I would just kind of like have to calmly roll them onto their backs, and that would be the match. So a win like that felt like nothing because it was almost routine. Like you could look at a guy and say, all right.
Yeah, it wasn't challenging.
It wasn't challenging.
You felt it was unfair almost.
But I do remember this one match where I was getting my ass handed to me. Like bad. And I copied a page from my brother's playbook, and never practiced it. This was not in my arsenal, but I got a bear hug in. Okay. And I pinned the guy from a bear hug, which is extremely hard to do. And everyone was just kind of like, yeah. So that win is one of the things that sticks out of my head. Like, it wasn't even like a big match or whatever. No one expected me to win, so it wasn't like important in any way, but like the feeling coming off of that match was like fucking euphoria.
Was it because losing was knocking at the door?
That was definitely part of it.
And it was the challenge of it?
I could have faced the guy 10 times and probably lose 9 of those.
Okay.
So it was, I don't want to say it was luck because it was a move I used, but it was the unexpectedness of it, I guess. The fact that I was losing.
Well, you were losing and you came back from defeat, so it was sweeter.
Yeah.
Because you faced adversity and you overcame it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Okay. 100%.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying, but I'm not 100% sold that losing is worse than winning is good.
I don't think
it's hard to say that.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, it's not cookie cutter, right?
No, it's not.
Everyone's different, and some losses are probably worse than some victories feel good, and vice versa. I think as a whole, if you're training for something, and somebody is, if say you're going to be wrestling or fighting or playing a game of basketball or whatever with somebody that you don't like.
Oh, yeah.
That you don't like. And they're talking shit in front of, just say, everyone you know on Facebook, in social media, in a parking lot, whatever. Is your motivation going to be to win so you can rub it in his face, or is your motivation going to be to win so he cannot rub it in yours?
See, I wouldn't think to question that. I don't know what my motivation would be in that moment, but I know it would be amplified.
Yeah. Because the fear of losing to someone that you hate is almost unbearable for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I'll flip this on you a little bit.
Okay.
Imagine you are friends with the guy. You spar, right? We see this a lot in the UFC, especially in the beginning days, because there weren't a lot of training camps. It was very, very, very limited.
Yeah.
So you'd have these guys who they would spar all the time. They'd be partners, whatever, and then they would get to the ring, and all of a sudden they have to face each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know someone, you're friends with that person. What is your motivation there? What drives you to win? Is it still just to prove a point? Yeah, we're buddies.
Yeah,
but
to compete, I think you have to tell yourself in that sense that if no bad blood had occurred, that you're both there to do a job, and you might not be taking extra strikes after the guy's down or something like that, but at the end of the day, he's going to try to hurt you back.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in
You
mind.
still want the win.
Now, you might not take pleasure in it as much as you would someone that you don't like, punching them in the face. But the way that I would probably look at it would be, if I can get this done earlier, it's better for both of us because we each don't have to hurt each other as long.
Nah, that's
So
fair.
I'm going to try to end it as quickly as possible.
That's because you're such a nice guy, Andrew.
Yes. Thinking of the friendship.
Thinking of the
And
friendship.
I would hope what would make me mad is if I felt the other person was not doing everything they could to win. That would make me mad.
Okay. So if they were delaying things or going a little light.
Yeah, if I felt like they were pulling punches or something, it would make me upset because it would be like, are you saying I'm not good enough to compete with you at your best kind of thing? Even if I wasn't, it would still make me upset. Yeah, so what's the consensus? What do you think it is? Do you think it's 50-50? Do you think it's winning, losing? What do you think?
I'm gonna stick with winning is better than losing still for my very first reason. I think if there wasn't that sweetness that came after it, the losses would, for the majority of people. I know we're speaking a little
Speaking in generalities.
speaking in generalities, yeah. But those losses would eventually wear and tear on people, and if winning wasn't better, I don't think it would be worth it because it is. That's why I'm saying winning is better than losing.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree.
I would say that winning is probably a.
Here we go, indecisive.
How do I put this?
Andy
I would
can't
say
make up his mind.
I would say the feeling of losing is a way better motivator to get you up out of bed in the morning. But I would probably say that the feeling of a true accomplishment that meant something to you.
And we're saying this just for sports, but it really does go everywhere.
Because I'm trying to think of
in
the
world.
extreme. Like the most extreme example I can think of in a sport, something that would haunt you, like truly haunt you, is Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
He talked, and this was before the whole shit talking era. He was the first guy to really bring that era in, and he talked so much shit. And Anderson Silva was untouchable at this point. And Chael Sonnen went in there, and for over 4.5 rounds, he won every single minute of that fight. And he got caught in a triangle in the last 2 minutes of the fight. One that was, a lot of people think, easily avoidable. And he lost with 1 minute and 42 seconds left. That kind of a loss must take years, if ever, to get over.
Yeah, you don't get over that sort of stuff.
That's what I think of when I think of a loss. I'm thinking like the extremes, like winning the lottery, losing like that.
See, I don't even think about it. I mean, yeah, those are great examples, but there are like lower examples that you can think of. Like, say,
I just opened this back up.
yeah, you did. We were closing this out.
We were.
In like life, like there are wins and losses. Like ignoring sports completely here for a second. Imagine you say, complete random example off the top of my head. Say you're going to write a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You tell everyone you're going to write a book, and you do. You are proud of it. You did it. You put it out there. No one likes it. Not one person likes it, right? That's a loss. That is like all right, I have put all this effort. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's like training.
Yeah.
All these fighters, they spend months and months training. And here's their glowing moment and they lost. Someone else, whatever it is, this book is just an example, but you spend months writing, being proud of what you're doing. You get to the end, no one likes it.
Yeah.
But if they do like it, you made it. Especially for people who have to announce what they're doing. Like I'm training. I'm gonna be a fighter in like 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is.
Yeah. So you know what? I will say this, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
You convinced me more that winning might be at least closer, if not more, than losing by that kind of explanation.
Okay.
Because beforehand, in my head, when you're thinking about losing or going back to the poorhouse after you've been living in the rich house, whatever, that's the motivation. And they're like, hey, I know how good winning feels, but I don't want to ever feel that again.
Yeah.
If I never feel winning again, that's fine, but I don't want to feel that again.
Exactly.
That's
And
how I looked at it.
And that's my point. If that was your true motivation, then why would you get in the ring again? Because you can never guarantee that you're not going to hit a loss.
Yeah, at that point, it would just be the guy who like enjoys fighting or something like that.
Yeah.
But
At
all right,
any
so
rate,
we didn't accomplish shit. we didn't think of anything.
No.
Let us know what you guys think is better or worse.
Yeah.
Winning or losing.
Let us know in the comments down below.
Be interested.
Make sure you like, subscribe, find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, find us on all those social things.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
And until next time,
We're going to be shooting another What Do You Got?
yeah, in a couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And for now, we're out this bitch.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh,